everybody, it's Keren here from tuppenscoloured.co.uk, and thank you very much for joining me today. Today I'm going to be doing the part 2 of the tutorial on how I made this shabby chic little MDF hanging. Now if you want to know how I did the background and how I got the crackle effect, then you need to see part 1. Okay, so I'll put a link to part 1 below this video, but if you have already watched part 1, then stay with me and we will finish this off. What I'm using to finish off my project today, I've got a scrap of this paper, which is from the This Christmas Speciality DSP stack. I'm using Flirty Flamingo, Soft Suede and Basic Black inks. I'm going to use the Pansy Punch. I've got some Very Vanilla Baker's Twine, and I have a piece of the Lace Doilies, which is in the new Spring Summer catalogue. I'm going to be using a stamp from the Crazy About You set, and I'm also going to be using a piece of tissue, ordinary stuff you blow your nose on, and some beeswax. I had some of the paint that I mixed left over from when I coloured the heart, so I put some of it onto the back of this piece of paper, and now I'm going to use my punch to cut 3 flowers. Okay, and shall I do one more? Yeah, I'll do a 4th just for luck, but I probably won't use it. Okay, so I'm going to put this piece to one side. I'm going to use the rest of it later. And now I want to distress and age these flowers a bit. So on this side, the side that I've painted, I have some soft suede re-inker, and I'm just going to take the colour down just a little bit. Now the other side has got this rather nice black and Very Vanilla pattern on there, so I'm going to bring in some Flirty Flamingo. And again, that's rather bright, so a little bit of the soft suede just to knock it back a little bit around the edges. I'm happy with the colour on those, and I'm going to shape them. So I have my bit of sponge mat and my flower tool, and I'm going to start. This is going to be the back, and I'm just going to shape those, and again in the front, and shape that one. Alright, so I've done one, and I'm going to do the same to the others. This last one I'm going to shape slightly differently. With the others, I went in on the back first, and then I pushed down to make a cup. This one, I'm just going to shape from the back, because this one is going to be my centre bud. My petals are all shaped, so I'm going to start with this one, which is the one that I decided was going to be the bud, and I'm just going to snip a little bit further into the centre on this one. Not all the way, don't want to cut any petals off, just releasing the petal slightly. Okay, and I'm going to choose 2 petals that are sort of opposite each other, and I'm going to put a spot of adhesive on that petal on that side, and on this petal on that side, and I am going to wrap them around each other. Now, hot glue works really well for this. I'm not using it because I will be bound to burn my fingers on video, and that would not be good. Okay, so can you see that I've shaped that into a sort of a cone shaped, and that's going to be the central bud of my flower. Now the other 3 petals, same thing again. I'm going to put a spot of glue on the right hand edge of each of the petals. Alright, so they will overlap, so I'll lift them up and they'll overlap, and they should stick to each other. So I'm just going to sit here and hold this just for a few seconds, just so that the adhesive has time to go off. Okay, there you go, there's my rosebud. Now if I were making multiples of these, what I would probably do is that I would make up a lot of rosebuds first, alright, and then I would come back and do the next stages. But for today, I'm just going to set that on one side just for a moment, and with my scissors again, I'm just going to put smaller snips into this layer. And again, this is optional, you don't have to do this. I just find that it makes it a little bit easier for me to get a shape that I like. Oops. And now I'm going to put a spot of adhesive in to the centre of my flower and push it downwards. Okay. Give that a few seconds to take, and while I'm waiting for that, same thing again, tiny bit of adhesive on the right hand edge of each of these petals. And I'm also going to put some at the bottom of each of these petals as well, just to help them stay where I want them to. So here we go. I'm going to bring that one up and round that one, and round that one, and around that one, and around that one, and I'm just going to kind of squish it in my fingers and move it about a bit. And the adhesive doesn't always go where I want it to first time. Just keep working with it, and the fact that I've put some paint, the acrylic paint, onto the back of this paper does mean that it's a little bit stronger than it would be otherwise. So it's a little bit more, it's got a little bit more wet strength, shall we say. Okay. Okay. And if it's not perfect, doesn't matter, because nature's not perfect. Just play with it until it's how you want it to be. Okay. And then for the last layer, I'm just going to press that in. I'm going to try and offset the petals slightly. And just shape that with my fingers. Right, and I'm going to play with that a little bit more, and then I'm going to put it on one side to set. I'm going to use the word love from the Crazy About You stamps, and I've got it mounted up on my block, and this is a single layer of tissue, the kind you blow your nose on. Okay, and I'm just holding that down to give that ink plenty of time to transfer, and I am using basic black ink for this. Okay, and I'm reasonably happy about that. Now I'm just going to give it a bit of a waft with my heat tube. Not too much, just want to make sure that there's nothing really kind of soaking wet about it, and I'm just going to tear it out reasonably carefully, but you know, not worrying about it too much. And the reason why I am tearing rather than cutting is that it makes it a bit more difficult to see when I apply it to my piece here. Okay, so that is looking good and ratty. Bring back my heart. Now here, off to this side here, this is a I don't know what you call it really. It's a heater for melting wax. You know, room centres, the best way I can describe it. This one comes in 2 parts, so I was able to take the fancy jar off the top, and in here has been melting for a while is some of this stuff, which is beeswax pellets, and I got these from Amazon. They are pretty inexpensive and readily available, and you can find them in the cosmetics sort of section, because people use them to make lip balms and things like that out of them. In fact, I've done it myself. Ranger used to sell a melt pot, and in fact I do have one, but they discontinued them. They're not available anymore, so I looked around for an alternative, and this is what I found. If you don't have one of these, you could try melting it in over some hot water. Okay, so boil up a saucepan full of hot water and put your beeswax into into a bowl on top of it, but what you don't want to do is to let it get too hot. Now this is a very soft brush, and it's not one that I'm particularly attached to, okay, because once you use a brush for beeswax, that is all it is going to be fit for. So my advice is to choose a brush that you're going to use with beeswax and keep it for that purposes. All right, you're just going to have to write it off. Now I'm going to decide whereabouts I want my word love, and I'm going to put a little bit of beeswax in that corner, and I'm just going to drop, whoops, my bit of tissue in, and that's cooled off already, but don't worry, because we will just go over the top again, and we will just beeswax it up. And I'm going to give the whole thing a little bit of a coat of beeswax while I'm about it. Okay, and I can dribble some bits along there. All adds to the shabby chicness of it all. Now that's hardening up pretty much already, so I shall put this away and go on to the next step. That's had time to cool, so now I'm going to do some assembly. So this is one of the new dainty doilies that's in the spring summer catalogue, and I'm just going to heat this part up with my heat tool because it's covered in wax, and when I can see it start to shine, I can just bring in my bit of doily, just plop it down where I want it to, and then when the wax cools, that will be set. And if I change my mind a bit about where I want it, I can just heat it up again and move it. As you can see, very careful because it is warm, don't want to burn my fingers. As you can see, that is sitting into the wax, and if I want to I can go back with my beeswax afterwards. I'm just going to trim away the part that I don't want, and these doilies are really lovely because on one side they are white, whisper white, and on the other side, which is the side I've got uppermost, they are very vanilla, and that is looking good and grungy and just the sort of look that I want to. So I've got my heat gun, hot glue gun warming up there. Now remember when I said I was going to save that bit of paper, I punched out another one of the flowers, and I'm going to do a little bit of snipping and create some leaves, and as you can see I have been and gone and aged it up with some of the soft suede. because I can, because it was there. Okay, so I decide whereabouts I want things to go now. Whoops, come back, little leaf, come back. Oh, and that extra flower that I punched out, I made another bud. Okay, so at this moment I'm just moving things around so they are where I want them. And I think I like that, so is my glue gun ready? Let's have a go. Yes, it is. Right, and I get asked a lot about this glue gun. It's a Bosch glue pen. Okay, it's a little bit of hot glue. I'll plonk my first flower down. Flower, leaf. And a little bit more here. And plonk down another leaf. Oops. Let's put this on the back of my rose here, and that's looking nice. And I'm just going to tuck this one, tuck that underneath there, and there you go. There it is. I just finished it off with a piece of the thick baker's twine, the very vanilla baker's twine. Just made a loop and tied a simple knot in it. And I used another scrap of the same doily just to fill in that little space there, because I thought that it needed something. So that is it. And it's not my usual kind of project, not my usual kind of tutorial by any means, but it is kind of going back to my roots. This is what I used to do some time ago and used to really enjoy doing, and I really enjoyed doing this project as well, and I really do hope that you enjoyed watching it. And if so, then please comment, like and share this video. If you would like to show me what you've been up to, I would really like to see it, so please visit my Facebook page. Details are below this video, and there's also a link to my blog and to my online Stampin' Up shop. So I will be posting more soon, and it's probably going to be more of my usual kind of project. But for now, I do thank you very much for joining me, and I hope that I will see you again soon. Bye bye.